I went out to my local forest in hopes to find a seagull to film or something, but all I found was a chickadee stealing a spider's kill and eating the egg inside. So today's video will determine whether or not I switch out of Nikon to Canon, and I got a bunch of wildlife footage with the Z6 III, we're on it right now with the 40mm Tony 2, in HD. I'm just throwing that out there. Haven't even tried that. And we have 5 desperate losers who have wildlife related questions. First shot of the day, I was like, oh my god, is that northern flicker thing? I was in the worst possible spot, but I saw it. I was like, oh, stay there. Wait, let me focus on you. It was beautiful. He was a bit covered by leaves. I was trying to get my position and my focus. I wasn't ready for the shot at all, but he waited patiently. Usually those take off. We're in 6K 60 RAW. I'm like, no, don't leave. What a beautiful image. I mean, if we're just talking about the image, Nikon 600mm Tony 6.3 prime, like, it's stable enough. There are definitely jerky moments, that's for damn sure, but whatever. When you're stopped panicking, you get the shot. It's not this clinical Sony look that you're getting. It's actually nice. There's not a lot of swaying movements. It's nicely balanced. There's a lot to love. The only thing I'm debating, that was $10,000. And I don't really love Nikon for this. So, like, I was thinking Nikon will just be my wildlife system. I don't know that I like having just a dedicated camera for one thing. $10,000 and you can only do one thing. Whereas if I want to do slow motion street videography, the stabilization's crap. When I'm filming in here, the colors are always weird, something's off. Like, I prefer my Canon C100 Mark II, what the hell's happening here? So I could totally see a world where, see you later Nikon, and then we're in Canon, and I have all the EF glass. Wow. Which brings us to our first question. A6700 has 1.58 times crop in 4K 120 and is half the price of the Z6 III. It is APS-C, and if you pair it with the Sony A7 III, you get 4K 120 at a max 830mm. Maybe for a third of the price of this setup, referring to my setup. Way smaller and lighter too. Slightly worse quality, but still pretty decent. I think that would be the ideal setup for amateur wildlife videographer. Okay, calm down. He's insulted your gear. You spent a lot of money on it. Try not to take it personal. He means well. He has a Sony setup and he realizes you wasted your money. It's $10,000 and you just filmed squirrels and chickadees. You don't need anything for that. What are you doing? I'm with you. So he's right and he's wrong as hell. One, absolutely. That setup would be super lightweight, but let's not forget the Tony equivalents. Now, before I rant about how terrible his setup is, absolutely, that would kill anything. Like, I think I would be happier with an Olympus EM1 Mark II and that 75-300 lens. Like, it was so tiny and cute, and who really cares? Like, what the hell have I done? How often do I really go out there? $10,000, like, I'm a moron to spend that much on this. So, like, he's right. That would be an upgrade to the Olympus. You're getting 4K, your A7S III specs, basically. But that's a 4.5 to 6.3 lens. With the crops, your 1.58 times, that's a 2.37 times crop. So a 1-inch sensor is a 2.7 times. You're inching towards a 1-inch sensor at that point with those crops. So in 4K 120, that lens becomes a 166 or 5, I can't read my own writing, to 830mm, Tony 10.7 to 14.9. Wow. So, like, that's going to be pretty disgusting footage. It's going to be noisy, zero background separation, not the greatest, but, like, yeah, good enough. Better than most of what I'm about to show you with $10,000 worth of, wow. But that lens has 3 ED glass elements, so 0 3D pop, and that's a bitch. But when we're talking, like, slightly worse quality, like, no, it's not slightly worse. We're talking 6K 60 RAW full frame here with a prime, like, it's not even close side by side, but you upload it to YouTube, the compression, people are watching on their phone, then the side by side becomes stupid. You're just like dripping your soda on your screen and you're smearing it off with your greasy Dorito hands. And you're like, I like the one on the right better. Sony's better. You who would pick that? You have no dignity. You certainly wouldn't be getting a chickadee that stole a spider kill. Now first, I didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was just picking at branches, jumping around rudely, and I was like, I need to slow this down. Chickadees are better in 240 frames per second. But that is magic right there. That shot, you're not getting that shot on a Sony APS-C. I mean, you could, but it won't be the nice swirly tones back there in the background. The separation is like, even the setup I'm debating. Oh, here it is. The spider kill. What the hell was that? Was it an egg? What the? It's so weird. I've never thought that a bird would like steal a spider web's kill, fly off with it, and then eat it, and then like, ha, I took your eggs. How did a spider get an egg? Was it his own egg, or did he steal a chicken's egg? I didn't know there were chickens in my local forest, but there must be. We've seen the video footage. Which brings us to the next question. Hello, I do aviation videos with a Sony RX IV and highly depend on post-stabilization. Which one of these two would you recommend? GH7 or Nikon Z6 III? To me, the sensor size doesn't matter much. I shoot during the day. Dynamic range and IBIS is what I'm after. Okay, you have some conundrums there. We now know that Sony's not making a Mark V. Even though it was the best camera ever made, why bother upgrading that amazing piece of machinery? Let's make another vlogger cam. Let's remove all the stabe, but super crop, 4x crop. Take my advice with a grain of salt, because I don't shoot aviation videos. I get all kinds of questions like, what would be the best macro photography for wedding ring set? Like, what the aviation? Some of these, maybe they have plane detect. Are you wanting slow motion? I don't even know why you would. A plane never flaps its wings. Bullshit piece of metal. If it was me, you want dynamic range and IBIS. The funny thing is, the Nikon doesn't have the best dynamic range, but it'll be better than the Panasonic. But then the IBIS of the Panasonic will be better than the... Oh boy, which one do you prefer? So like dynamic range... Oh god, I hate you. The Z6 III, it's okay, but it's worse than the Z6 original, so like it's a downslide for mankind. Good times on that one, thank you. But the IBIS of the Z6 III, if you're moving a lot, it ain't right. There's something off with it. It's really good for handheld, but most systems are like that, except Panasonic seems to be the one that's just the best. So like, in my opinion, your audience is going to appreciate the smoother footage of the Panasonic than whatever perceived dynamic range you get upgraded with the Z6 III, and your left-hand dial is going to break your wrist. Oh man, the Panasonic right there. It's not even locked. You don't have to, boom. Or you could lock it if you choose. Oh wow. But it's Micro Four Thirds footage. You disgust me. Here's actually a good example of what might happen to you. Here's a plane that actually flaps its wings, and I'm on the Nikon and we're trying to follow it, and like, look at the stabe of it. It's not good at all. I could see that in the viewfinder. I was like, this is terrible. It's not good at all. Like, I should just hold still and let him fly out of my frame or something, because trying to follow it, it just like keeps up and then jerks around. Nikon IBIS has not been a pleasure at all. For like wide lenses, for telephoto, it's a little weird. If you slow it down enough, you might have some hope, but not much hope. So like, picture that being a plane. There's people on him getting expensive food because they didn't plan ahead. And I don't know, man, Panasonic might be better for you. Might even be better, except you get no autofocus in slow-mo. So have fun with that in your giant size. I saw a yellow bird in the green highlights. Trees were everywhere. He's so separated with a Tony 6. Oh, he's gone forever now. As the daddy longlegs runs from his raccoon predator, slowly but surely, I manually focus on him perfectly, tracking him every second of the way. You can get some macro shots. People are always saying, oh no, you can't get that. That's your biggest disadvantage. Well, okay, I wouldn't call that a macro shot, but we got the moment. Come on, that's good enough. How close do you want to get to something like that? Which leads us to our next question. So for mere mortals, speaking of wildlife only and image quality only, forgetting autofocus for a moment. Yeah, just forget the most important equation, but okay, yeah, remove that. You're gonna be manually focused tracking the daddy long legs like I showed you. You have to work years to get up to that quality. Panasonic Micro Four Thirds with 100 to 400 or 200 2.8 and with teleconverter. So you're forgetting autofocus and you're adding the teleconverter, which removes linear manual focus. Have fun with that. That was a fun shock when I put that on for the first time. I was like, oh, I got this teleconverter. It's designed for this lens. Boom. How come the focus is so jumping all over I can't get any? Yeah, thanks, panty boy. So like that's the life you're going to live. Have fun with that. But forget about autofocus. Canon APS-C or that with the RF 100-400 or 600 2011. See, even I'm debating that. Or 800mm 2011 or telephoto primes EF. So there's many things to consider with that whole situation you have. The 100 to 400, it has a very long zoom throw. It takes you like 3 times to get to where you need from 100 to 400, and it's stiff. And if you're trying to do that while you located a bird at 100 and then zoom in on it, the rolling shutter and you just miss it. I hate that lens so much. The 200mm superior, but it's not much reach. And your teleconverter is not going to work at all with the manual focus. It's bad news, so I don't know, it's a tough choice. I wish Panasonic had like the 300mm 24, but sync stabe. I don't know, I haven't tried it. Maybe it does sync just fine. So get that lens, then you might be onto something. Don't even need a teleconverter, but with Canon, that 100 to 400 is such crap. It's such budget crap, man. Like you can't even compare it to those Leica lenses. Even though using them is annoying, it's a Leica lens. It's gonna look much better. That 200mm prime, it basically destroyed my Sony 200 to 600, whereas like no lens does. Nothing ever does that to Sony. Even this 600mm prime, it's like, kind of similar. Even in 6K RAW, it's like, Sony's about as sharp. You wasted your money. But that 200mm Leica prime was like otherworldly. As long as you can get close, which you can't. It's a 400mm, what are you gonna do with that? Your only hope is that 600mm 2011 prime, which I'm debating, but for APS-C, 2011 on an APS-C, that's gonna hurt you. That's a Tony 17.6. If you want to take a photo, you're at like 1 shutter speed, 1:1 on that one, 1 second, and you just hope that nothing ever moves. You have to hope that God freezes time still at that moment, and then you're the only thing that moves. Like that light gathering and the diffraction that sets in, it's a nightmare, man. Panasonic is like quality glass. Go with Leica anything, always. It's the glass that's exciting. But if you had some dignity and you went full frame Canon with that 600mm 2011 prime, that's a lightweight setup, man. 1602 grams with the R5 II. Wow, and that would be cheaper than the Nikon setup. And here's why I'm debating that, because I don't do a lot of wildlife. I've used that 600mm prime 3 times. My first test, and then first the A7S III, and then now. I don't go out as often as I think I needed $10,000 for. So like if I got the R5 II with the 600mm prime, then that makes more sense. I have a cheap wildlife option, but then the R5 II I think would be better at slow motion street videography and making my face less diseased looking. Whereas Nikon hasn't seemed to be on my side on that one. They show the heat, rashes coming out of my face, so you're not my friend, Nike. But if you saw a dragonfly and you wanted it to come to you, you knew he wouldn't. If you were on that 600mm 11 Tonys in that background, that would be disgusting. Whereas this, at least it's separated a bit. Nikon's gonna be the better shot, but Canon can do other things that Nikon probably can't. No, he didn't fly away. Eventually he did. When I moved away, I was like, I'm leaving. Oh no. I thought I would try and topaz enhance that moment. That was HD 240, and then what the hell is that? What kind of cyborg cyclops Like, that was so unreliable. It wasn't even close. So like topaz can be great for certain things, but I've never seen it actually do good in wildlife. There's a lot to hate about the Nikon system. I just don't feel at home in it. For so far, like that left-hand dial that I have to pinch, that annoys me every time I want to use it. And then when I film myself, I'm like, why am I so red? What the hell happened there? And the orange in my red shirt. But then outside, that disappears. And so like, why doesn't the lighting look good in here? I've custom white balance. Dang. I used it. It's professional. Same color temperature, both lights. Come on. And then I look red as a tomato. I don't look like that. Stop making me look like a fool. It's like Nikon, man. And then your left twisting mount. It's like every time I have to, I'm so used to just taking it off the right way and then righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, like every screw ever invented. But no, Nicky boy has to be different. I have a question. I swear I'm not trying to get you angry. Can you see a Nikon Z6 III high contrast scene and shadow flickers? Channel Robert May found this out. Video 1. What's going on in the shadows? Major flaw in them. Oh my god. Gerald Dunn confirmed it. Lower dynamic range. Tony confirms the noise dark. I really wanted to try this. I guess I'll skip the Z6 III. Okay. I just ranted about this in another video. Have you seen any flickering so far in my footage? Just go use the camera. Don't sit in a dark cave and film candles. And then, this is my passion in life. Look, ISO 200, ISO 300. Look, oh my god, when I zoom in 7,000%, the Sony has slightly less green flickery noise. Oh my god. Talk about some real problems like the left-hand mode dial. Then I'll be on your back, and why aren't there custom banks? That's a bitch and a half. Why are the zebras so weird and they disappear on my face? But dynamic range? I'm with you. That's clipping all to hell, isn't it? Like, it's not good. Full frame, usually you want the dynamic range. It's these stacked sensors, they're bullshit. So like, Sony would destroy this, I bet. Now we're on the Sony ZV-E1, much cheaper. Zeiss 55mm 21.8. Is that now brought back to us? Back to reality, that light, maybe? Maybe it's worse, I don't know. I just exposed the same amount of zebras on the face. We were in N-Log, now we're in S-Log 3. It should be fair enough, kind of. Tony 2 versus 1.8. You had the 800 ISO base, I have 640. Whatever, who's counting? When it comes to dynamic range though, like, it's hard to even see it. Like, you're not gonna notice it unless you zoom in and like, oh yeah, those highlights are clipping a bit. I didn't even notice. Like, it's exposed for the face if you're filming a face, and then like whatever the background's doing is fine, let it do it. But like, yeah, that's the cinema spec dynamic range, so you kind of want it. Like a Canon C70 is just gonna look more natural and pleasing because of that super high dynamic range. So Z6 III, Nikon used to be like class leading dynamic range, and now not so much. You took a hit on that one, and now Canon R6 II is doing C-Log 2. You need an N-Log 2, and then maybe that'll fix everything. But I will say this, Nikon definitely has the sharpest HD 240 in existence right now. I haven't tested the R3 or the R5 II, but it does definitely destroy my A7S III and ZV-E1. It's sharp, it's good, there's a 5% crop, no one cares. It's a fantastic codec, and if you enhance the bird's death leap in topaz with 4K 1920 frames per second, you can see the moment he decides he no longer wants to be here. Like most of us, we've reached our end, our wit's end, and it's over for us. I don't know, man, this kind of worked. Oh no, it didn't. All right, last question here. Imagine someone who uses a Fuji X-T5 with 70 to 300, mainly wildlife photos and some slow-mo videos, and he want to switch to full frame. Oh, you're a moron. What body would you recommend and what lens? Bias to Fuji and Sony. Okay, stick with what you have. It's better than anything else. I wish I had that setup. That'd be fantastic. HD 240, Fuji X-T5, magic color science, lightest lens on earth, somewhat decent enough reach with the crops. You're not APS-C anymore, but you're having fun. Like, I almost want to switch to that. I've debated switching to the Fuji XS20 from my full frame, just because it'll be lighter. I'm waiting for that 500 prime any day now. Fuji come out with it already. So it's like, what would you upgrade to? Like, what are you going to do? Go to Sony? You want full frame? Now you're talking A7S III with a 200 to 600. Have fun with that. Have fun with it. Maybe the Sigma's 500mm 5.6. Don't know if it's sync stable or not. It could. If it did, still not much reach, but that'd be okay. Like, why not just wait for the 500mm prime that's coming to your system, and you're going to be happy. Not inside, but like for a little while. Nikon has the most options for telephoto lenses. It's a decent system. I'm in it right now. But I'm debating switching out of your dream setup. So like, as long as you're in that mindset of what can I get next? There is no next, man. What are you going to use with what you have is the question you should be asking yourself every day. What can I film with what I have? How can I have fun today? Versus like, oh, I should switch to this. And like, I review stuff, so for me it's okay. I switch, I review, I sell, I acquire. It's a fun little game I play, but for you, you're not in this league here. You're just, go shoot something like this. Go find a sparrow hopping around. I dare ya. Have them in animal eye detect. Fuji would not do this for you. I don't care who you are. It's just gonna hunt around back and forth, back and forth. Nikon's actually reliable, and I think Canon is too. You really need full frame. It's not for the sensor size, it's more for the actual like polish of the Canon and Nikon and Sony systems. Fuji's like a weird brother that didn't get all their stuff right. They drank too much milk, and their brain, it ain't there. Let me know down below if you would want to see that. Me buy the R5 II and the 600mm Tony 11 used somewhere, and then compare that to the Nikon and see, is it good enough with the Canon? And then we're doing all kinds of stuff with that Canon and then Nikon lenses. You're done. Who are you even? I have Canon lenses that actually work on Canon bodies. I could do a C70 speed boost adapt. Are you kidding yourself? Something just feels off to me about Nikon. I don't feel home here. I feel out of place. Like I came into some room and there's like all kinds of weird stuff going on, and I'm like, I do not belong here. Oh boy, you guys use the left-hand dial like claw freaks, and they're eating lobster meat, and it's like, this ain't right. I have to back out of this room already, so we'll see what happens with all that in the future, but there we have that. Decent footage today. I didn't get much. There wasn't much happening, but $10,000 worth of footage, not really. Who won today, Sony or Nikon? Let me know by your Bitcoin donation amount and subscribing for more videos, and I'll see you later.